Again, that one warning goes until 3:45, and that still looks like the only game in town here if you're west of I-95. At this point, just looking at some rain. Some showers here in Amelia County, also Powhatan seeing some showers. It's this particular area, the only storm that we're watching. We'll go back to the velocity. We'll zoom back in here, still showing some signs, strong signs of rotation. And this is inching its way closer to Route 30 as it makes its way very close to Route 30 and then up into the northwestern corner of King and Queen County. And we'll continue to track this warning now. Goes until 3:45, and Andrew has the latest.
Yeah, and that's King William County. And oh, is my microphone not working? I think it may be you. Check. Oh, sorry. I think I turned my mic off. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, you can hear me. Sorry about that, you guys. Microphone's back on here, and we continue to track. And I want to stress here, as we have a tornado warning in effect again, this is up in King William and portions of King and Queen and Caroline. We have yet to see our newsroom. I was just in the newsroom talking to the producers and reporters, and we've yet to get any real significant damage reports. All of these tornado warnings appear to be for elevated, the radar indicated storms. We have yet to have the indication of something on the ground. That said, as Megan just spent a good bit of time talking about this one, Rachel and I were back in the weather office, and we're watching down here as well into Charles City. And we think there may be another tornado warning that pops up over here. And this is something that we're going to be watching. As you look at the radar picture, it's in this cell right here. There's some thunder, there's some lightning there. This is Charles City, that's New Kent County, right along 64. But look what we're seeing here, seeing some rotation. I think I'll look at a different one. Oh, that looks a little bit better. But I think right in there, right on top of 64, we saw the potential that there could be some rotation in there. It appears as it does not look anywhere near as bad as the system that we've been tracking. But just hold on for one moment as we pay attention into Charles City County to make sure that this one isn't going to be our next tornado warning. There's still some, I mean, there's what we call a couplet. There's rotation there, and this is, I'm sorry, I don't know if I said Charles City County, that's New Kent County. So 64 in between Henrico and James City County, which is where Williamsburg is, that's beautiful New Kent County. And right in the county there's some sort of rotating thunderstorm on 64 that you might be seeing as you move through. But really the game in town here, another 25 minutes for this cell that really clearly, we went off the air at about 3:01, I think we went off the air. Or 3:02, and then we were sitting in the weather office and we're going, who's going on next? Because we saw this one coming, and this is very clearly, as you query this, and what we're going to do is look at the data which shows you that there's some rotation, right? So we have gate-to-gate shear numbers that are notable. You know, they're not 60, 70 miles an hour, but yeah, there's one. There's a 62 mile an hour gate-to-gate shear. So that means you have the potential of a small tornado, EF0 or EF1, to touch down here, right there in the northern portion of King William County. Now, this is King and Queen County, and this is Caroline County. And I'm going to zoom in on this area and so you can get an idea of what we're talking about. So 360, which takes you out of Hanover County and away from Mechanicsville, and then runs up through Central Garage, which is right there, then runs over to King William County, King and Queen County, and then eventually up in Essex County. The 360 corridor, if you know somebody who works in the city, drives out to through to King William County to come home for the evening, they're not in that tornado warning. And it looks like that tornado warning is lifting, let me quickly, real quick, looks like it's lifting to the north. It's right about at Route 30 right now. So north of Route 30, in King William County, you need to be taking shelter as we speak. Let me pan this down just a little bit. And so this is a cell that is lifting off to the north. I'll go a little bit wider here, and then we'll put the track on this. And is this another one I think that's going 30, 35 miles an hour to the north? So we're going to put a squall line on this. And again, a potential, a very clear, like if you were, in this case, 5,000 feet off the ground, you'd see a funnel cloud. It would look like a tornado, but apparently these are not touching down for some reason. But I'll put a squall line on this here, and this one is going to the north and the northeast at about 35 miles an hour. And so areas that should be on high alert here, Beulahville, Gether, Duane Fork at 3:33, that's 10 minutes from now, Central Point at 3:46, and Bethlehem Fork at 3:51. Now some of these names are from old databases, but it might give the folks that live there for a while to understand, you know, those are the communities that need to be watching. So this is our friends in King and Queen County, and then the southern and western eastern portion, excuse me, of Caroline County. But there's a very clear rotation there, and this is another 20 minutes here for this storm to hold on to its tornado warning. Let's really quickly set the stage. If you're just joining us, you've heard your phone do some crazy things during the day today. If you're in the city of Richmond, aside from the fact that that green shows you that there is a flash flood warning, which we would imagine the most concerning portion of that has got to be gone by now because we haven't had very much heavy rain lately. There may be some high water in spots. Henrico County, Hanover County, Chesterfield, Tri-Cities, Louisa, Goochland, Powhatan, Amelia, all not under any tornado warnings. Now, we're not saying it's clear sailing. There still may be a strong downpour or even a thunder shower that rolls through. But at the moment, as kids are trying to get home from school and people are trying to get where they want to go, Hanover, the city, Henrico, Chesterfield, Tri-Cities, Dinwiddie, you do not have an immediate threat. You do have a tornado watch, which has been extended until 6. If you watched us this morning, we talked about 11 to 3 as the peak time frame. Well, we're past what we identified as the peak time frame, but we still do have this one rotating thunderstorm that's a pretty clear sign that it's rotating. And this one's going to be going up into Caroline County. And the center of the storm right now appears to be working its way through the very northern tip here of this is King William County. So Hanover, King William County to the north of Central Garage. In the southern portion of Hanover County, in the southern portion of King William County, there's a batch of rain coming in here, and that's that shower coming out of New Kent. That has the potential as well to rotate a little bit. There's not really much lightning there. We've had a few lightning strikes, but not a lot. And when you look at the velocity image here, yeah, I think there's still a chance here with that cell that this could, if it goes into a favorable environment, that could be turning into a rotating thunderstorm as well. So let me just go out really wide real quick. And as we look at the radar picture, one thing we do want to talk about is one of the things that's fueling this, obviously the remnants of Nicole going to the west of us, but look at these temperatures. Now, the record high for Richmond for today is 80. Now, we're not going to set a record, we don't think, but we're in the mid-70s. And we're not just in the mid-70s, we're in the mid-70s with a dew point temperature. Here's the dew point temperature that is crazy high. As high as it would basically ever get this time of year. You have to have a tropical system to do this, and that's what we're doing. And this morning I was talking about this being the most humid day that you're going to see for the rest of the year, and probably not even until spring, because the chances of getting another tropical system doing what this is doing is extremely low. So the natural air conditioning is going to kick on tomorrow, and then it's going to feel like winter starting on Sunday. But that dew point temperature is super high. That's how we measure humidity. All right, back to the radar picture. We're not completely done with rain out west of town. You heard Megan track a few showers and even a potential rumble of thunder. We're going to watch that one down in Brunswick County to see if that continues or starts to rotate, and watching this out into Powhatan and Amelia. But the only real significant alert from the National Weather Service is this one right here, and it is moving away now. It's trying to pull away very slowly, moving at about 30 miles an hour, pulling out of King William County, heading into the western portion of King and Queen County and southern Caroline County. So it's a small isolated tornado warning. And if you're just joining us, as far as we can tell, we have not had any of these warned tornadic thunderstorms touch down, and we have had a bunch of them. These started down in Brunswick County at about 11:30 this morning. And let me take a quick look and see if I can get the storm reports to activate here. And aside from the fact that there is a flood, reports of a flood, and we may have had a funnel cloud. Oh, that's the National Weather Service. I wonder if the National Weather Service here had information about maybe seeing a funnel cloud go past them. So multiple spotters reported a funnel cloud near Waverly around 2:30. And then if you look at the map around that, as I clear that information out of here, you don't see reports of damage in and around Waverly. So that's another sign that although, these are textbook couplets, textbook funnel clouds up in the sky, they just haven't been touching down. And we hope that it stays that way. It's never fun to have all these warnings and to, ruin or disrupt people's days and give anxiety. But when you see what we see in the atmosphere and what the National Weather Service sees in the atmosphere, they've got to hit that button and call that or tornado warning. So that is the one remaining tornado warning. This is a flash flood warning. However, that was for heavy rain from a few hours ago, and hopefully things have gotten better. And another thing you'll see here is I'll put the shear line on here, and that line there is indicative of what we're currently tracking, sort of on the northern edge of that. That's our computer telling us, okay, I've got data that shows that things are rotating along this line. And so as that continues to the north, I'm going to actually use that to zoom in and give you an idea as to where we think you may have the potential, the tornadic potential, which is a storm system or a cell that's basically near. Let me switch back over really quickly to find the couplet. That couplet is pretty clear now, setting right on top of the river there. I think that'd be the Mattaponi River. I have to zoom out wider to check it out. That'll be lifting off to the north. And let me just take some more queries on this. The query is like, when you ask a question. So I'm asking the data by clicking the button here. I'm saying, hey, what kind of speeds are you seeing here? What kind of rotational speeds do we have? Whoa, and that is a big number. A 96 mile an hour. I think, Rachel, is that the biggest number we've seen through the day so far? I don't think we've had triple digits, but now that may be a little blip in time here. But yeah, there's some signs that that's really moving. So I'd imagine they're probably not going to drop that tornado warning early. I'm not saying that it's not going to go away, but they're not going to drop it early. So the concern now is for those of you who live in the far sort of northern and inland portion of King and Queen County. And I'm going to basically draw the map where I've got a high level of concern for you. And this is on Poplar Hill Road, Newtown Road, Birds Mill Road. These again this is a rural portion of our viewing area. And we still have a pretty good sign here that there's some rotation here. And that is, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more and give you an idea of some more of the communities. And again, right across the river. So Dewsville Road, if you're in King and Queen County, and you hear these road names, these are areas that you want to take shelter and go to your safe space. Go to the interior portion of your home. Roundabout Route, Newton Road, Shallow Springs Road, Poplar Hill Road, Lineville Road, the community of Helmut. Now, some of these communities are crossroads, and the names can be anachronisms. They can be old and not used anymore in some of these rural areas, but that should just give you a signpost. And now I'm going to lay the data on top of where we are on the map, and I think what you're going to see is, as I pan down to the south here a little bit, that's where the rotation is, so near Beulahville. And so this is, and Spring Cottage Road, Riverwood Circle. This is in between King William and King and Queen County. We'll pull out just a little bit so you can see what's going on here. Those numbers just turned yellow on us. Oh, that's a new one. I think that's a new warning, right? Did they just extend the warning? I think that's an extension of the warning, or they cut it back, but let's see when that expires. At 3:45, that was the original plan, so they just cut the back of that warning off. This expires at 3:45. We have another 14 minutes, and as you look, though, at the data, that's pretty legit data here. And again, the numbers that we saw here were the highest numbers in terms of speed, wind speed within these cells of anything we've seen so far today. I'm going to continue. Yeah, we keep seeing that number that's up near 100 miles an hour. So you're talking about an EF0 or EF. You're talking about a potential, legit, not tiny. I don't know what was that alert that just went out? Oh, is that the same flash flood warning? Okay. So the NBC 12 weather app was within earshot, and I could hear the fact that the flash flood warning just came through. But that's a continuation of a flash flood warning that's been there for a while. Megan, I see you zooming in on that, right? That's a pretty legit couplet.
Yes.
That's a correlation coefficient. I thought maybe we would see some debris out of this. There's one other thing that we can do. Oops, sorry, wrong computer. There's another thing that we can look at here that I'm going to just look at really quickly. The correlation coefficient and differential reflectivity. Yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility that in there we have a potential couplet or a tornado that has touched down. Listen, we're going to have to wait and see, but that is a really strong sign. And now that is basically pushed off into the northern portion. This right here, I'll put the map on for you. This right here, for another 12 minutes or so, is a tornado warning into this is King William, this is King and Queen County, over here is Caroline County. And I'll zoom in to show you some of the communities. Again, this is a rural portion of King and Queen County, and it's right along Poplar Hill Road and Newtown Road. And it's tucked in sort of up next to Caroline County. There's some relatively good news, although the southeastern portion of Caroline County, including Bagby and Butler's Fork and Fork Bridge Road, Lauraville, although you're in this warning zone, let's just take a quick look. We think that this is east of you for the most part. So I think that although you may be watching right now in Caroline County and thinking, oh my goodness, we're under a tornado warning, if you're in your safe space right now in Caroline County, this looks like this is going to be lifting more to the north and to the east. And I'm going to take a look and see what that looks like on radar as well. It's that section, that little back edge of the thunderstorm that just rolled through, that is still holding together. Let's pan a little bit down here. We're going to track this again, go a little bit wider. And this one, although it's not warned now after this, if it does get a warning, the next likely warnings will be for those of you in the eastern portion of Caroline County, the far western side, or the mountain, or the western side, away from the water side of Essex County, and then potentially up into Westmoreland County. That's the direction that this is moving. Just to draw a line on it for you and to give you an idea, it's going in that kind of, actually I think it's kind of going a little bit more in that direction. And so this is a tornado warning if you're tuning in. That is the only one that we have on the map right now. I'll pull that a little bit wider. We have had a really active day here in the weather department. Starting at about 11:30, we had tornado warnings be issued, and thankfully, as far as we can tell, other than maybe this one, we have not had reports of widespread damage. We checked power outages. We think it was really rough, and we think there were a lot of rotating thunderstorms as the remnants of Nicole merging with a cold front. But we're not, as of now, seeing touchdowns on these tornadoes. But that one is going to be lifting off to the north, and that has the potential to produce some damage there. And it looks pretty impressive. And if I had to guess now at 3:35, I would think that we would get an extension of that tornado warning up into the western portion of Caroline County. So what I'll do now is put a squall line on where this might go next if it holds together. Again, moving to the north at about 35 miles an hour. So if it holds together on its current track, let me move this out of the way. But boy, you can really see the rotation there. This is now all basically fully up into King and Queen County. And then the next place that this would be going would be lifting to the north. So Port Royal is along route, let me zoom back in here. Port Royal, I think we might want to start to be thinking about where our sheltered place is. And Port Royal is as you go from Caroline up onto the northern neck, over the Rappahannock River. I think Port Royal is probably a little bit to the western side of where the severe weather threat is here. But let's go a little bit farther out here, and we will move this over, and we're going to do a quick little, a quick squall line on this. And again, to the north, little easterly component at about 35 miles an hour. And let's see where that ends up. So it keeps that track to the east of Port Royal, but 341 in Battery, Bethlehem Fork at 342, 354 Layton, and 401 Horners. Now keep in mind that this is after the expiration time. That tornado warning expires at 3:45, but this may potentially continue out of the warned area. As I'll put the map back on, and you can see where that warning is. But this is a slow mover. They've all been moving slowly. They've all been producing lots of rain, and they're producing thunder and lightning. And the radar picture now shows on the back edge of this cell, there's a potential of a tornado warned thunderstorm there. And the map, other than that, let me go to the radar picture and go out wide. This is the line that we identified early this morning. If you watched 12 News Today early this morning, I was on saying, okay, from 11 to 3 is our, our peak storm threat. It is that line here that is east of town. That was the line that swung through and gave us all those tornado warnings. And now along this, there's only one active tornado warning, and we think that'll continue to lift off to the north and to the east. So if you have Friday evening plans, the threat level goes down as we get to about 6 o'clock in the evening. There's a tornado watch in effect now, but that tornado watch is likely to, that tornado watch expires at 6, if not a little bit sooner. But it's that warning right there that is a pretty clear sign that we're still holding on to some rotation. I'll zoom in there real quick. That's really the only game in town. Megan, are we seeing anything else really rotating? Is that one in Brunswick kind of thinking about it?
Very small.
Okay.
Very small. This
is Poplar Hill. That's Newtown Road. This is in King and Queen County, and we know we have viewers in King and Queen County. So if you go 360 and then north on Newtown Road, you go through that narrow county, which pushes up against Caroline County. And I'll pan just a little bit more down to the south to show you where this would be heading. Man, is that a slow mover, but likely to head to the north. I'll put a street on here. Likely to head to the north on Birds Mill Road. It looks like it wants to go north in that direction, with probably a little bit of an easterly component. So you have a spot here on the map where there are a few different counties that come together. That's King and Queen County. This is Caroline County, and then you have Essex County over here. And so that general area, 11 Road, I know it's a rural spot, but those are the areas that we want you to be concerned about. Let me quickly look at that velocity data again, and we continue. Now we're getting, the radar beam's getting higher in the sky as this system pulls to the north and pulls away from the Wakefield radar site that you can see spinning around. But we can continue to query the data here and to see what it looks like in terms of speed. Sorry, I have to check this one out first. To see what's happening in terms of the speed. When you see the red and green together, that's wind going away from the radar site and toward the radar site. And we'll check the numbers in here. Did I hit query? Let's check query to see. The shear, which for a moment here showed up with a really big number. Now there's a 75 mile an hour. Now keep in mind this is elevated. Hopefully it hasn't touched down, but we're still seeing significant signs of rotation in there. And so that, maybe the Weather Service, because so many of these has not touched down, they might let this expire, but it looks like this will continue. And so it's still holding together as what we call a couplet. It's a tight rotation in the atmosphere fueled by, in this case today, the difference in wind direction with height in the atmosphere as our surface winds here, I'll pull a little bit wider out so you can see what we're talking about. Our surface winds are now out of the southeast or the east, and they're not super heavy. I mean, it's not the world's most strong, those aren't the strongest winds ever, but the winds aloft are starting to switch direction on us, and so you have that twist in the atmosphere, and that sparked these thunderstorms. Thunderstorms that have produced tornado warnings, but as far as we know, we haven't seen any significant, any damage from these. Let's go back to the radar real quick. We have that one game in town, this one until 3:45.
We had some thunderstorm wind damage in Mechanicsville.
So we just heard Rachel said thunderstorm wind damage in Mechanicsville.
Tree down.
Yeah, and a tree down. If we have one tree down, then we hopefully are, if that's all we get out of this, that would be quite impressive. And there's that damage right there that you can see. Let's see exactly where that is. That's at the intersection of Studley and Shelton Point Drive. So, tree down, singular. Obviously, we don't want anyone to suffer property damage or get injured, but if that's the way this day ends up with a few trees down and a few reports of, these are reports of funnel clouds. Multiple spotters reported a funnel cloud in Waverly, near Waverly at about 2:30, but they did not, it doesn't say tornado. A funnel cloud is basically a tornado up in the air that hasn't touched down. And I think we had a similar situation earlier this morning down in Brunswick County. And again, that is it for storm reports that have come in. A trained spotter saw a funnel cloud north of Lawrenceville. And we know that there were some spotters that set themselves up down here in Southern Virginia based on the forecast to look for the potential of any severe storms. So this is another 4 minutes before it falls off the map. And it looks like the cell is actually out basically of the warning cone. It is almost out. This is again in King and Queen County, the northern portion of King and Queen County. Here's Route 17, north and west of Tappahannock. Our friends in Tappahannock are looking at this going, hey, are we next? Well, this cell is going to lift well north of you if you're in Tappahannock. It is not going to come into Tappahannock. There's some thunder, there's some lightning with this. There continues to be rotation. I'll look at the velocity again. You can see it. It's now pulling out of the tornado warning zone. So in the next couple minutes, either the National Weather Service will drop this off or we'll see a continuation of this. And I kind of have a hard time seeing this falling off. Again, here's Essex County. That's Route 17. If you're familiar with Route 17, you could take Route 17 past Port Royal and 301. That's as you go from Caroline County up into King George County. And this is a system that, that's still rotating. So I think we're going to sort of sit tight here for the next couple of minutes and see if that couplet, that rotation that we see there, if that sparks another warning from the National Weather Service. Now, as we look wider on this map, so are you thinking it's a Friday night, I want to gather with some friends and family. Am I done? Can I not do anything? And the answer is no. We think that a lot of folks are going to have a good, safe afternoon and evening. There's plenty of dry weather out there for folks and kids from Hanover to Chesterfield down into the city to ride the bus and get home safely and to enjoy an afternoon, if it's not too muddy, outdoors. There's this one line that's still holding on here, east of town. Most notably, West Point, you're getting hammered with really heavy rain here and some thunder and lightning, I think, in moments. And that one cell that we continue to watch here that'll be lifting up, we think, into eastern portions of Caroline County, the far western side of Essex County. This is Essex right here. You're right along the Rappahannock River, Essex County, and maybe holding together heading up to King George County, excuse me, and Westmoreland. In one more minute, we're going to see. Did you hear anything? We have any thoughts on this one?
It is expired.
All right, expired. So, and they didn't continue it. It's still showing up on the maps, but they let it drop.
Yep.
And they're not going to. I guess they haven't said anything if they're going to add another one or not. So our plans now. What did our news director say? We're going to keep going till 4. What are we doing? We going to keep going? I think we might be keep going, hanging out at 4 o'clock because what?
We're going.
Yeah, we're going to keep going until 4 o'clock. So what we'll probably do here, and again, this hasn't fallen off yet on the map, but Megan's got the data in her hand, and she says that is off. Let's just look really quickly at it again. Sorry, let's look back at the velocity, and let's see how we're doing here. I think one of the reasons why, even though you can kind of see that there's still rotation there, is that the National Weather Service has had an afternoon of tracking couplets, rotating couplets in the atmosphere that haven't touched down. And they appear to have been elevated, but they're still there. The correlation coefficient sometimes will give us a little data as to if something is on the ground. But basically, this now is a thunderstorm. That could be a strong thunder shower. And you look at the bolts here. Let's go a little bit wider. I'll zoom out. Bolts is our key for our lightning button here. But when we zoom out and look at our area as a whole, you know, that cell that we're tracking really doesn't have a whole lot of lightning with it. But that's where all the lightning and thunder is. It's in the northeastern now quadrant of our viewing area. That's it, just this one little area here. And this area is where we think the thunder showers will continue for the next little bit. Wouldn't rule out the potential of another tornado warning, but just due to programming reasons, instead of joining our program in progress, we're just going to stick with you for the next 15 minutes. And so I think maybe Megan might be time to sort of load up a bit of something that's a little bit more of an hour by hour for this evening to help people plan, as I don't have that kind of ready to go on mine. But we're out of tornado. We don't have any tornado warnings now. This cell on the northern neck is a pretty strong and tall system. What we look at is the height of thunderstorms, in addition to other things, to see how strong they are. And if you look here at the storm tops here, and we're going to again use our query button to look into it, right near where that storm cell is strongest, we'll touch on that. And this echo top means how tall is the thunderstorm. If you were in an airplane, how high would you have to fly to get over this thing? And 35,000 feet for that cell is not the world's tallest thunderstorm. We wouldn't have expected that actually in today's environment, because these would be more a little bit shorter due to the fact that it's a tropical system and not like a cold front or something like that. But then there's also a decent little cell that's pretty tall that's down here toward Tappahannock. So there could continue to be some heavy rain in spots, but we don't think that we're going to be looking, well, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say we don't think we're going to get any more tornado warnings, because I think we could. And it goes until, the tornado watch goes until 6 o'clock. The northern neck, if you include basically Westmoreland, Northumberland, Lancaster, and Richmond counties, that's Richmond County, not Richmond City, as the northern neck, that's basically just rain. Now, we are going to continue to watch down here. West Point is actually at the moment not getting rain, but there's rain nearby that's really heavy in the eastern portion of New Kent and down into the southern tip here of King and Queen County and King Williams County. King William, that's where the Pamunkey and the Mattaponi come together there to form the York River. And it looks like it's not raining in West Point, but there's some rain north and west of there. So we think in particular, if you're on the eastern side of town, our northeastern viewers, Northern Neck, Middle Peninsula, there's still some time to go here where there may be some more rotation in these storms and there may be some wind gusts, but as far as we can tell, we have had a really active radar picture, but an inactive damage on the ground afternoon. And at 3:47, we still are in a tornado watch until 6. But this actually works out and sort of times out a lot with the way that we gave you first alert, both last night when you heard it from Megan, and we talked about all morning long. I kept saying this morning, peak storm threat, 11 to 3, peak tornado threat. And it really went right in that area, and we hope that information we gave you was helpful for you, and hopefully you had ways to get these warnings. And we also are hopeful that none of this actually touched down. And as far as we know, Megan, we haven't seen anything touch down. You want to take over from here? We're staying on for 12 minutes, or we can take phone calls from our viewers.
I'm not sure about that part, but I do want to update you all on the tornado watch. It goes until 6 tonight. So if you're just tuning in now, we have no active tornado warnings. We are going to stay on the air until we get to our 4 o'clock show, and then we'll do the news and weather. Hopefully we don't see any more tornado warnings, but I do want to walk you through what's going on as far as what we can expect the rest of the evening. So our entire area still under that tornado watch, and that's all the counties in red here. I can tell you though, a new update here within the last minute. If you're watching from Orange County, Spotsylvania County up into Stafford County, these counties have just now been included in the watch, and that goes until 6 o'clock as well. So almost 4 o'clock. Hopefully by 6 o'clock we are losing the threat of some severe weather, but the storm that Andrew's been tracking still holds winds of 45 miles per hour. Thank you, Andrew, for showing me that. Most of us at this point showing quiet conditions. We have a couple of showers here. If you're west of I-95, we have one here in the western side of Goochland County and Louisa County, non-severe, just bringing you some rain. Also watching down into portions of southern Dinwiddie County. This is going to basically ride right along I-85. Also at this point non-severe, and just a couple of showers now in Brunswick County. Where we'll watch closely are going to be the departing tornado warned storm that really has lost that rotation. Hopefully it does not spin back up, but we'll pay close attention to this one. And then also our eyes are going to be locked in on this cluster, this area here of showers and a storm. You can see just one strike of lightning there. It's the eastern side of New Kent County. It does include the southeastern corners of King William County into portions of King and Queen County, the southern side of Essex County, and we're just seeing light showers over towards the northern neck from Richmond, Lancaster counties, Westmoreland County, Northumberland County, just mainly some plain old rain. And then down towards our middle peninsula counties, Matthews County, Gloucester County, just seeing again some light showers. Nothing severe contained to our counties very close to the bay, but these particular areas we'll watch closely. Hopefully we don't get any more rotation within those clusters, but temperatures does not feel like November once again today. We are at 74 degrees currently. The airport, 74 in Hanover. We're at 73 degrees right now in Chesterfield, 75 in Farmville. Typically for this time of year we should be in the low 60s, and when you factor in that humidity that's in place, feels more like a summer day or a spring day. I do want to go through the hour by hour though for tonight. We're not done with the rain completely. We'll have a lull in the activity over the next several hours for most of us, but if you do have some plans to head out maybe for dinner tonight, or you do have some plans this evening, we will have a final batch of rain that moves on in, and some of this could contain some pockets of some moderate rain, maybe even some gusty winds. This is 7 o'clock this evening. Notice most of our area east of town dry. We'll watch though from the west some more rain moving in. This will be about mid to late evening. After sunset, you can see one last round of rain moves on through, should stay below severe limits, but we'll watch for those gusty winds as they move towards our east. So by 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe just a couple of lingering showers over towards our northern neck counties, but already starting to see clearing as we go through the overnight, and as we wake up tomorrow morning, much quieter picture across the area. Sunshine to start the day tomorrow. But if you do have some plans tonight, I do want to show you the hour by hour forecast as far as temperatures. There's a live look from our Skycam picture behind this graphic here. You can see the sun is shining, improvements in the city of Richmond, but take a look at temperatures as we go throughout the rest of the evening. 8, 9 o'clock, we're still in the low 70s. But notice here, 7 o'clock, most of us are dry. As we go into the mid to late evening, we bump up those rain chances. So take along the rain jacket, the umbrella, if you do have some plans to head out or will be out late tonight. We are looking at the rain to continue. It'll stay breezy. Winds will be out of the south, anywhere between about 10 to 20 miles per hour as we go throughout the evening. That southerly breeze, gusty winds helping keep our temperatures well above average all through the evening tonight. And then as we look ahead to tomorrow, the Richmond Marathon, we've gotten a lot of messages about this on Facebook, Twitter. I've gotten a couple on Instagram asking, I'm a runner, what can we expect? Years past, it's been very cold or it's been rainy. We're looking at a lot of sunshine, might have some wet roads. Watch for some puddles, but temperatures mild. We'll be in the low 60s, 7, 9 o'clock tonight. 11 o'clock, we're looking at the mid 60s. And overall, the weekend forecast, we start very warm. Saturday, we're in the low 70s, sunshine through the day. I added that 20% chance for rain. This is going to be towards evening. I do think Saturday night we'll see an increase in cloud cover, and along with that could spark a couple of showers Saturday night. Shouldn't ruin your plans, but a quick passing shower, don't be surprised. Then temperatures really cool down to end the weekend. Sunday, big difference, beautiful sunshine, will be in the low 50s. And then as we look ahead to next week, a lot chillier temperatures. We're going to be in the upper 40s to start next week, but I do want to just zoom in real close one more time to the radar picture and focus in on the fact that we do not have any tornado warnings. We've been on the air since before noon, finally catching a break, but tornado watch is ongoing until 6 tonight. So we will continue to watch a couple of these clusters here with the potential. Atmosphere is still conducive for this. It's still very warm. It's still very muggy. We'll watch especially east of town, but at this point, just several showers, several downpours back towards Louisa. We're down into southern Dinwiddie County.